legendary Cathy Brooks.
I don't know about that.
Legendary because I see her at every internet party I've gone to. I think you've seen it at CNET. I've seen you at Stir. And
probably an SF Beta or two. And
yeah. You've gotten around, and we met each other before.
God, years ago.
That's right.
You were working for the city of Oakland.
That's right. I was the economic advisor to the mayor.
Yes, you
in
were.
my other incarnation, which I'm glad to be out of, but that's another story. I love the mayor, but I hate it.
You mean you don't like being a you're happy to not be a bureaucrat
I was never
anymore?
a bureaucrat.
Okay.
See, and that's and the simple fact that I would respond in that way shows you just how much I think of that as a pejorative term, and I don't want to go back there anymore. Cathy,
Yes.
you are. How did you get to be who you are today? How did all this start?
You know, you told me you were going to ask me that question, and you would think I had formulated something in the 10 minutes since. If you had asked me even 10 years ago about where I'd be today, I don't think I would have told you where I am now, because the industry as it is and the world as it is didn't exist this way 10 years ago. I began my career path, such as it was, as a journalist. I started when I was 14 ripping wire copy in radio newsrooms. They actually had wire copy machines back in those days, which isn't actually all that long ago. So we're talking, early to mid 80s. And, earplugs in the ears, walk in the room, UPI, AP, Reuters, all of the different machines with 5-ply paper, go in, rip the copy, distribute it around the newsroom. That was my first job when I was in high school. And I was bitten by the radio bug early and wanted to get involved with that, so I went to journalism school, went to Northwestern, studied the Medill School of Journalism, go Wildcats.
Yeah.
And from there worked in radio while I was in Chicago, went to a newspaper after school, and that's what brought me to California. 10 days to the day after my college graduation, actually. So if you had asked me 20 years ago what I was going to be doing, I would have told you that I was going to be a journalist.
Yeah.
I do consider myself, when people ask me now, what do you do? I call myself a journalist, mostly because I think that's my breeding, my training. But what that means is greatly differentiated from years ago.
But it also serves as a base for the internet, because the internet is, for all the purposes, a medium for journalists, don't you think?
It is. I mean, there's a lot of talk about the democratization of media.
Yes.
I am a believer that today the phrase mass media, media by the masses, for the masses, this is actually the first time that it's actually really been true, because you now have an environment where anyone with an opinion or a voice has the vehicle to get that voice out. Now, whether people are going to listen
is something else. Right.
Then you have the issue of the credibility and veracity of people's voices. Who are these people? We're working our way through this in the social media environment. People ask me, are bloggers journalists?
Right.
You were going to ask me that question.
You
see, I also have ESP. Important in a member of the media. The way I look at it is, how a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't always a square?
Yep.
I would say that a journalist can be a blogger, but a blogger is not always a journalist.
When does a blogger stop being a journalist?
You see, I would put it the other way around. I would say, when does a journalist become a blogger?
Okay.
When does a blogger? Let me rephrase that. I think it's more accurate to say, when does a blogger become a journalist?
Okay. Yes.
And to me, a journalist, it's not about what tool you use to get your voice out. It's not about the tool. It's about your voice. It's about your credibility. It's about your reputation. It's about your integrity. And it's about your dedication to truth and fact.
The reason I ask, and I also want to get to your project, but the reason I ask is that I was a columnist for 3 years for the Clarion. And to me, bloggers are also columnists, and yet people don't seem to make that distinction. A blogger states an opinion, but that's a column. Peggy Stinnett, who wrote for the Oakland Tribune, told me a columnist is not a good columnist unless they're angry about something. A lot of bloggers are arguably angry about something.
Sometimes they're angry about being angry, as the case may be. I would equate a blog more with a column than I would. I'll give you an example. So my site, my personal site, otherthanthat.com, shameless plug, www.otherthanthat.com. Like other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how
And
was the play?
everybody, visit that doggone blog.
Visit it.
Visit it. Yes.
Visit it. Subscribe.
Yes.
It's interesting. I like to think so.
Yeah.
I use blogging software to post the entries, but it's not a blog because to me a blog is interactive. Like you can comment.
Yes.
My blog doesn't have the functionality. My site doesn't have the functionality for comments. I have a blog in another place where people can comment if they want to, but that's not why I write what I write. I mean, so to me, a blog and a blogger, it's a semantics game. You know, we get it. We're in a very, very confusing semantics game.
Yes.
You know, someone might call themselves a blogger, and what they really are is a columnist or an op-ed writer or a journalist. There are some bloggers who write right down the line of, I went to this thing, I saw this thing, here's the thing I saw, here are the facts, here are the people I talked to, here are the quotes, here are the pictures. That's no different than writing for the Chronicle or the New York Times or any other traditional media.